Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to the 2023 Patriots Unfiltered Draft Show, presented by Aristocrat Gaming.
Is your Bergeron kid worth moving up for?
They're all the same to me, Paul.
The same.
They're all the same.
They kind of are.
I could move my needle a little more.
You keep your needle where
Would
it
your
needs to be.
lighthouse, would your lighthouse get bigger?
With this draft, my lighthouse just keeps getting bigger. I don't know. The Patriots set to take linebacker Marty Mapu.
Okay,
I don't know who that is.
Joe says Evan is doing a great job. He seems to be on another level of expertise. His nonsense could use a little work. A little too professional. Can we fight about tides or something?
I was told
that does-
Pasta couldn't score goals.
That's
and
the
that
goal.
he sucked now.
Who said he couldn't score a goal?
Your shows.
Oh, yeah.
That's ridiculous. No one ever says a guy with 60 goals can't score a goal.
He said, "Oh, where is he?
Well, where has he been? He's had a terrible series.
Oh, here
Are
he
they
is.
supposed to pretend he's played well? Like, now you're just making crap up.
No, that's what they
He
were
has
saying.
60 goals. Someone said he can't score a goal.
Yes, your show said that. You're very defensive right now.
My God.
This is the 2023 Patriots Unfiltered Draft Show, presented by Aristocrat Gaming.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered, the 2023 Draft Extravaganza. It's day 3. We're live at Gillette Stadium. It's me, it's Mike Dussault, Evan Lazar, Paul Perillo, Matt LePan, and Matt Morrell in the booth. And we'll be here for 2 hours until 4 o'clock Eastern Time, catching you up with everything that the Patriots have done since we signed off last night and what they're doing today. And we do have some picks made today in the 4th and 5th round. So who wants to be the bearer of good news?
I mean, I'll set it up for maybe Evan, but I think everybody would be happy. They've addressed the offense today a little bit.
That's a joke, right?
Oh.
Just like their
Is that a
4th
joke?
round picks.
Is that a joke?
What?
It was a joke. I'll do it. So they grabbed a couple offensive linemen, Jake Andrews, center, and then they grabbed the kicker as well, Chad Ryland, 112, and City Sow was the other offensive lineman, a guard. So, I mean, I do think that they needed some interior depth, and I'm going to preface this with, I know everybody was longing for tight ends and wide receivers, and I'm right with you, and even maybe tackles, but I do think it's worth saying that they didn't really have any depth behind their interior offensive line. So, look, we can talk about, was this the right time for these guys and yada, 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 but I do think a little bit of a need.
Yeah. Are you surprised in the 4th round they picked a kicker, place kicker?
Not really.
That's the only thing
Yeah.
that didn't surprise me about their 4th round is that they took a kicker. I'm going to go the other way, Mike. I'm going to allow you to spin the positive side of it.
Barely.
This 4th round is, quite frankly, it's a major disappointment. I'm going to put it to people that way. It's a major disappointment. We can prepare a year or two ahead at center and guard, but God forbid we prepare for right now at any position on the offensive side of the ball. Not a single one of these players that they drafted in the 4th round is going to help the 2023 offense. And if they have to help the 2023 offense, then somebody got hurt that you don't want getting hurt. That means that David Andrews or Mike Onwenu or Cole Strange is not in the lineup for some reason. So these guys that they've drafted, there's things to like about both players, City Sow and Jake Andrews, but where is the help in for 2023? And if your reasoning is the reasoning that Bill Belichick gave us last night, which is that our additions in free agency were on offense, your additions in free agency that were on offense don't scare anybody. Nobody's staying up at night thinking about Juju Smith-Schuster. So the additions that they've made on offense in the draft are for 2024 and beyond. They have nothing to do with this season, and they're still, for some reason, allergic to drafting a pass catcher. If you're going to draft a lineman, fine. At least draft a tackle, because that guy might actually be able to beat somebody out and play this year. But they didn't even do that. They went in the interior of the offensive line. It's overly frustrating. I've been wrapping my head around day 2, sold on some of the things that they did yesterday, maybe a little bit more than I was when we were on air. But this just put me right back down in the dumps.
No, I hear what you're saying. I'm day 2. I like what they did day 2. I think they tried to move up to get a tackle on day 2, and they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I think where they settled, I think those 3 guys possibly can help the team in 2023. The first 3 guys that they've picked. So I like what they've done the first 2 days. Today is just, it's just whatever. Yeah.
I just want to mention that I believe the Patriots are actually on the clock.
Yeah,
right
the
now.
Patriots, Jets just picked. So the Patriots, with the 10th pick in the 5th round,
And it's
are
their
on the
only
clock.
5th-round pick that they're scheduled to have right now. Now, they have a bunch of
I'm waiting for
sixth-rounders.
the punter.
Yeah.
They do have a bunch of 6th-rounders, so maybe there's a slide up and you get another pick in the 5th round somewhere here. But I would, maybe not as strongly as Evan put it, but I would share his disappointment. I don't think I don't think much was done to help the current team beyond really Christian McCaffrey and to a lesser extent Keon White. I think that
Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah,
I mean
got
Christian
McCaffrey.
Gonzalez. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Christian Gonzalez.
I was like, what
Second,
happened?
did I miss that news?
that would've been
Christian
something.
Gonzalez. My apologize. But and Keon White. But I think the other kid, Mapu, to me is a big time projection. I don't see that being a big part of the team, and then nothing in the 4th round beyond the kicker. And I agree with Evan that it's not surprising that they took a kicker, but to trade up for a kicker to me, and the second kicker at that,
The kicker was the
I
best
just-
pick of the round.
I don't really get it.
The pick is in for the Patriots.
I wanted to see at least some help on offense, and like Evan said, the players they took on offense aren't going to be helpful in 23.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm pretty sure they did try to move up to get a tackle, and it didn't work out.
Okay, but can we not let them off the hook for that? Because if they wouldn't let go of the 184th pick in the draft to make it work out so they can go get a tackle that might actually be able to start next year for this team, then I'm sorry, I'm not going to let them off the hook for that. Like that,
I'm not arguing with you.
You can't include a 6th round pick in the deal to get it done or to get it over the hump. I don't understand how how did you not get it done? Was there no trade partner, or did you just not want to give up what they were asking for?
I don't know why. Like you said, were they not willing to give up what it took, or, who they were talking to wasn't willing to make a trade, just period. So I don't know, but I'm pretty sure there was an effort to move up. Yeah, and it didn't work out. That said, like I said, I think days 1 and 2, I think they got 3 guys that I know you don't think Mapu. I think they think he's going to be able to contribute.
Oh, I think they think that.
Yeah, and with his versatility, I think that in today's NFL he has a role.
I think that's on special teams.
I don't want to jump into this right as they make the pick. Oh, I like that pick actually.
Yeah,
that's a good pick.
So what's Sidney
Who do we
Sal
take?
doing here?
Chikellen Roy.
That's not who the pick
Oh,
is.
sorry.
And
Antonio
Mafi.
Oh, that's a good one
who
too.
is a
Another
Shrine Bowl
guard.
guy, a really good week at the Shrine Bowl on the Patriots side of things. Another guard, but you just took. So now we're taking 3 interior offensive linemen, 3
After
interior
you
offensive
took a
linemen.
first rounder last year, and Michael Onwenu, who might be
And
the
Mafi's
best young player on your team.
Mafi's the best one out of all of the 3 that
Yep.
they've taken, and I think that he's somebody that could actually start for you down the line. But what is wrong with this? With taking a pass catcher or a tackle? Like I just don't understand what the plan is with any of these guys. If you take 3 interior offensive linemen in the 4th and 5th round, at least one of these guys isn't even making the team now. Like how many of them are going to carry on the roster? You already have 4 or 5 tackles that you're thinking of carrying on the roster because of the guys they added in free agency. So I'm beside myself.
It seems that Michael Onwenu's gone, right? Like this. Why would you re-sign him now at this point? That's a development.
You
I
know,
would say.
maybe and there is he was a Shrine Bowl guy, right? Did you
Yes.
guys mention? Maybe you're right, Mike. Maybe they've already sort of sat down with Michael Onwenu, and they've already in their mind saying, "Well, we're not going to be able to sign this guy."
Yeah.
And in some ways, I would respect that because it wouldn't be repeating what I think was an error from about 3 or 4 years ago when you invested all that money in Shaq Mason and Joe Tooney, 2 really, really good players. Tooney and Mason, really, really good players, but you'd like to think you wouldn't have to invest that kind of capital in your 2 guards. And maybe they've looked at that and said, we don't want to go down that road again. I don't know. Like I kind of agree with Evan's point, though. Like, why can't you have like an extra tight end who might actually get on the field?
It's just sitting there for the taking.
not due
Right.
to injury. He might get on
Yeah.
the field because he just warrants playing time, as opposed to, 4th and 5th round interior offensive linemen that in a perfect world won't. I mean, some of these guys won't even be on the roster. They'll be practice squad guys.
and that's where we're at. And I mean, they still got 5 more picks to go. To point out what I said before we went on the air, I mean, you look at 2024, there's no starting left tackle, starting right guard, starting right tackle. You're looking to lose both tight ends. I mean, their contracts are up, and the only receivers under contract are Thornton and Smith-Schuster. So, I mean, those are just, you talk about being forced now to have to go get guys at certain positions because you're not stocking them long-term. That's multiple very important positions that have no real long-term plan. They're just kind of empty right now after this year.
And for 23, you're now saying that Connor McDermott, Riley Reif, Calvin Anderson, or Yodny Kajus,
one of them
one of those guys is going to be a starter.
And the other one's probably the third tackle, and who's probably going to block because you don't have a third tight end.
And the other guy's going to play.
Yep.
Yeah. Two of those 4 are going to be, I would say, key members of your offensive line, because that 6th offensive lineman is usually a swing tackle. That's generally an important spot.
Yep.
Because you don't have a lot of teams that go wire to wire with 5 guys.
That's
tough. That's asking a lot. I think.
I just don't. I guess my whole thing, to calmly say it now, rationally, why is it okay to prepare a year ahead in all walks of life at the interior offensive line positions? Now you got 3 guys to prepare a year ahead, but we can't prepare a year ahead at receiver or tight end or tackle. Like, you can't. So you see that you have a need down the line at those positions, but the other positions don't matter when you've made now 4 picks in this range of the draft. So I guess I just don't understand, like, that if you're using that school of thought that these guys are here to potentially replace people in 2024 and beyond, then how does that not apply to the other positions on the roster when you have Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki who are under contract just for this season? And you still haven't drafted tight end. You mentioned that they only have, 2 receivers under contract for 2024. So where's the depth there? Where's the guys under contract there? Because now we got 6 interior offensive linemen that we have under contract. So
I would just say,
I'm sorry, Mike. And this is a year after they took a couple of offensive linemen at late in the draft for the same reason.
Yeah.
Guys like Chase and Hines.
How many draft picks have they spent on guards, interior offensive line over the last 3 years?
Right. This is something they've done a lot of and haven't been overly successful lately. They have some real hits. Like Shaq Mason was a 4th-round pick once upon a time. Ted Karras was a 6th-round pick once upon a time. But they've had every team drafts potential backup offensive linemen in day 3. But they've done it a lot. And I don't think that they've hit on as many as people think.
Yeah,
based on what I'm reading on Twitter.
And I think before today started, I kind of came to peace with that. I just didn't think that they were going to be able to get any offensive weapon type player that could contribute this year. And so in a way, it's like, all right, it seems like maybe their philosophy is that we're just going to surround Mac with vets and try to do it that way. But when you look at it through that prism of 2024. And you're saying, all right, so now you're telling me if Thornton doesn't have a great year and Schuster doesn't have a great year, you're probably going to have to start over at the receiver position for Mac. Like, I mean, you're going to have to go out there. I mean, I think everybody could agree.
At the receiver, you might have to start over at the quarterback position because your quarterback might not play well enough to sell yourself on him for another year.
But like, just to push back a little bit on that, was there anybody they were going to take in the last 2 hours that was going to change that? I think that ship had sailed by the time we got here today. Yeah. I totally get the point, but
not to me.
I just think everybody should get Mac
a
guy that he can grow with, and it feels like the guy he loved most, Jacoby Myers, is gone. It's hard for him. It's hard to provide some kind of continuity for him to say, all right, I know this guy's going to be here, and we can build that rapport.
The ship has sailed on terms of game changer, explosive, 3-level guys. But you just mentioned Jacoby Myers. There is a slew of Jacoby Myerses that are either still on the board or were on the board at the time that they've made these last couple of picks. I've been pounding the table for a guy like Charlie Jones, who went to Cincinnati. Shocker, a team that knows good wide receivers took Charlie Jones. That's a player that I think could come in here. They're envisioning him as somebody to replace Tyler Boyd in the slot as an inside guy that would have came in here and done the same thing in New England. So I think there are still guys out there that can do that. Fred, your guy, Bryce Ford-Wheaton, is now near the top of the board in terms of athleticism and upside. He certainly has it, but I don't want to hear that there's nobody there anymore. No, that's not true. There are guys there, and you throw the name in the hat. I'm not saying any of them are going to come in and be day one starters for your team, but they're guys that have talent, that have skill sets that can be NFL players, and you throw them in in training camp and see what you get out of them. You still got to take guys, even though they're not necessarily going to be day one game-changing impact players.
Do you think it's possible and when you goes back to right tackle, because that almost seems to make more sense than any of all of this? It's just a log jam at guard.
It's good.
I don't know.
It's a good outside the box thought.
Yeah, it's a good thought. Yep.
Something to say.
Do you like that idea?
I don't really care
Because
I just don't think any of it moves
to me,
the needle.
I feel better about one of that group of tackles playing right tackle than these guys plugging in and playing right guard.
Right. A rookie fifth rounder is not going to do it on when you did. I mean, you might be lucky to find that.
Now, what's it, Maffei? Antonio Maffei, right?
Yes.
He's a Sarah High School graduate.
Oh, all
From
right.
Sarah High School.
Sure.
So what could go wrong? Also, serious rugby player, from what I'm reading on the Twitter machine. Bill just can't help himself.
They got to type. They got to type at tackle too.
Yeah.
These guys are all built like Onwenu. They're all just 6'3" and a square.
Does different
I
things.
actually really like Antonio Maffei.
Everything I've read about him, this is exactly where everybody thought he should be drafted. So that makes me like the pick.
I know. I actually really liked
Even
him
though I
in
make fun of all
Vegas,
the
too. I thought he
projections.
was one of the best offensive linemen at the Shrine Bowl when Alex and I were out there. I just didn't need the other two guys on top of it. Just take
I understand.
take one or two of them. Don't take three. I mean, it doesn't need to be like this. He's the best one out of the group, I think. And
Someone
somebody-
tweeted your thing about right tackle there.
Oh yeah,
Deuce.
somebody's listening. All
Someone's listening.
nothing like playing.
Well,
a
they're
guard
going to
at
keep
right
Mac
tackle.
upright.
I guess we're going to try to throw it all at the wall here. Apparently on the offensive line,
He
and
really does
try
hate
to figure
Mac.
it out.
Let's get a bunch of fifth-round picks and see if we can keep him. No, I'm just kidding.
It
is odd. It is odd.
I just wanted to go back though for a second because last night I did kind of jump more into the two guys that they took yesterday, and I have to say that
You actually had a chance to meet them today.
I did, and I don't want anyone to think. I know it's my thing that when I meet a guy and he's nice to me that I like them all of a sudden, But I will say I really kind of like this Mapu kid, and I think what Paul said is right. He's an FCS kid, and it's like with Duggar. But he's fun to watch. He's fun to watch. He's super athletic. He's super aggressive. He seems like he's completely obsessed with football. Is he redundant? Maybe a little bit, but I can see why they like him, and I'm a little bit intrigued by him.
Where were you planning on playing him?
Maybe linebacker.
Yeah,
a
I don't think
linebacker.
he's redundant then. I don't think they
Yeah,
have that kind of player.
and that's
so if it works,
that's the
Well,
question.
That's what
the
I
question.
mean, Paul. I think they look at him and think he's got the tools to be. We want to be versatile. We want to be multiple on defense, and this is the kind of guy that allows us to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
I just don't think he's like.
It's
based on the projections, I don't think he's that good.
It's totally reasonable to say,
That's
he's a small school kid and this is a big jump, and to think that he's going to be anything close to the player he was in the FCS, to hear it might be a stretch, but I mean, I know Evan has similar thoughts of just the
I
kind
love
of
the
player
idea
he is.
of
I love
that
the
ki-
idea of
that
him, and we talk
kind of
about it
player.
so much, and he's just like used to say all the time, like, this is a place for football nerds. Like, if you're obsessed with football, this is the place for you. If that's all, and you heard him last night, that's what he is. So I'm just intrigued by him. As for Keon White, I wanted to go in being like, all right, I get it now. And to some extent, I do. I feel like if in success, he's a big, movable piece on the front of the line that's going to be more athletic than like a Lawrence guy, maybe a little bit more powerful than Dietrich Wise. But what I didn't quite see was just those flashes of dominant power where you're like, oh boy, this is – because he looks the part. You look at his face and you're like, this guy looks like he should be messing guys up on the offensive line. A lot of times I felt like ball would have been out. He bull rushes this guy, but it takes 4 seconds to actually get there. So not quite as like swinging, oh, I think this is great to trumpet it, but I think that there possibly could be something there with Mapu if he can make the jump.
Yeah, I didn't even bother watching Mapu at Sacramento State because, quite frankly, I don't really care what he did at Sacramento State. But his film at the Senior Bowl was fantastic, and I think the things that you notice about him, we were talking about it on the way down here, Deuce, is just he's got those little quick twitch, explosive movements where when he moves, you can just see it kind of suddenly, changing directions and clicking into things. He's got great closing bursts going downhill as well. He made a couple plays at the Senior Bowl, one where it's a lead play with the fullback, and he just takes out the fullback. He just goes right downhill at the fullback and blows up the entire play by taking out the fullback. And then you have some real athleticism and change of direction ability and coverage as well. He's a linebacker. He's a second-level player, and I think the only concerns that I have about him are, one, the pec. Like, that's going to be a thing that is going to plague him his rookie season in terms of development. Is he going to be able to absorb enough information to contribute in 2023 if he doesn't start camp right away? The other thing is, it's them. Are they going to play a 220-pound linebacker a lot? Like, is he going to be somebody that they are going to be willing to take a Jelani Tavai off the field and put a 220-pound linebacker on the field? I am not convinced that they will do that yet until I see it. I see what they see in Mapu. I see what a lot of people, Daniel Jeremiah, smarter people than me, have said this kid is a diamond in the rough. They really found something here with Mapu, and I agree. But is Bill a type of coach that's going to put that skill set on first down?
Bill was, he talked last night, and we should probably talk about that a little later too. His comments last night. But he mentioned, he was asked about, where do you play this guy? And Bill said, he's already thinking ahead. He's, it just depends on the opponent and the matchup. And like I said, I do think that there are certain situations, and this guy's not going to be on the field all the time, that he can help this team this year on defense, not just special teams, Paul. Against certain opponents and in certain situations.
Okay, I think you're arguing with me. I'm not really arguing. I have no doubt that they think that.
No, but every time I said that, you said, yeah, it's special teams.
That's what I think he'll be.
I know, but
I don't think that they drafted a guy in the third round that they think is going to be a special teams player.
I hope not.
I think they think he can fill a role on defense.
Right. I think that
I would
he
not
should
argue with
fill
that.
a role on defense based off of what he did at the Senior Bowl. But what role is that to them?
They've got to make the jump.
I'm not anywhere near as big on the Senior Bowl as they are. Let's just put it that way.
What role is that to them with a guy like Mac Wilson comes in here last year and he had inconsistencies in the same way that I think Mapu will in their system? Mapu's one big thing, even at the Senior Bowl, is that he's a little bit raw in terms of his ability to diagnose plays. He sometimes gets pulled out of passing lanes or is a step late, but he's quick and fast, and so he can recover quickly. But to them, it's, like what we saw last year with Mac Wilson with Lamar Jackson, right? They put him in a blender, and he didn't know where he was going, and then we never see him again.
See, that's where, that kind of worries me, the slow to diagnose, because I think, in my mind, where he helps you is to be that key reader out there that he can adjust to what he sees and, get to the play quickly, whether it's pass, run, whether the Patriots are in zone or man, but he has to be that guy in the field that covers a lot of ground quickly.
Yeah. He's the opposite. His ability is that once he clicks in, he's shot out of a cannon to the football. But it seemed like it took him a couple of seconds. Now, granted, at the Senior Bowl, you're thrown right into a brand new defensive system to you. You're not studying the offense coming into the week that what their keys are, what their linemen do on play action and things like that. So maybe with that coaching behind the scenes, they can help him out in that regard. But the other thing that stood out was there was one rep where John Michael Schmitz, the center from Minnesota, I think got drafted last night. It's a screen pass, and he runs him over. And I'm just thinking to myself, if he gets run over in practice by David Andrews or Mike Onwenu on a screen, they're going to sit his butt on the bench. They're going to say, no, we can't do this. We can't have a guy that's going to get run over in the open field because we're the Patriots and we like linebackers that are take-on guys. Jawan Bentley, Landon Roberts. That's our skill set. That's not Mapu's skill set. So I love the player. I actually really am... Out of all the players that they've picked, he's grown on me the most since they've picked him. But the question is are they going to conform? They've conformed in the draft by taking a player like this, but are they going to conform on the field?
And I wonder, what Gerard Mayo's role will be with this guy. Because Gerard Mayo, we all know he was one of the smarter guys out there. They called him Little Bill. He loved to watch film. Will one of his jobs this year be to help this guy adjust to the NFL and learn the defense and to make him a quicker out there mentally?
I think it's a great question. And that's I wish we had a chance to talk to Gerard. We talked to him, what was it, yesterday or 2 days ago? I've lost track at this point. I'm sure that will be. I just think it's a big jump to go from Sacramento State to the Senior Bowl.
It is.
You're not getting the
So you
coaching
need
that
help.
those guys. So he, you know, he's gonna. I mean, I think everything Evan said is not all that shocking for a player, to make that jump. Can he take the coaching? Other point I would just make is, are the Patriots willing to sacrifice some of that physicality for some speed? And at a certain point, hey, maybe he's going to get run over by a center, but maybe he's also going to get Lamar Jackson and beat him to the corner and be able to tackle.
We've been
too.
yelling they need more speed. They need more speed.
His ability to go downhill to either to run through a blocker or run through the ball carrier is legit. This guy can finish on the football. So I really like his game, and I think the main thing is that he's explosive. He's an explosive linebacker. But he's a linebacker. He's not a safety. I don't want him playing the deep part of the field. That he doesn't have that kind of a straight line speed. But in terms of that, just what you need to be a linebacker in that phone booth to make guys miss and then go ahead and shoot out of the cannon and get the football, he's got that skill.
I think maybe we underplayed a little bit Keon White. I think this guy is, nasty, smart. I think he's another guy that in this defense where, the more you can do, they like versatile guys no matter where they are. He's going to be able to play a few positions up front at a fairly high level.
Yeah, I mean, I think too, and I made the point last night. I brought up tight end, and I think it was kind of mistook. It's just that I think he's a little bit more new to this side of the ball, and so I do think that there is a little bit of a learning curve. I just don't really know what to expect. He checks a lot of boxes physically, versatility, the mean look on his face that just comes as advertised. I mean, he just looks like the guy you want coming off the bus first. How's it all going to translate to the pros? I don't know. I mean, it could go kind of any way for me. There's a lot of traits to like. I just don't see like the overwhelming, consistent power that is, jumps off the tape when you put it on of him.
That's exactly how I felt watching him the first time and the second time, even before they drafted him. It just doesn't pop. It's just not. I don't see anything that's like, oh my goodness, this guy does this and it's so good, right? But he's a solid, well-rounded player, I think, that has a lot of athletic upside. I think I maybe undersold his upside. I didn't realize how well he actually tested at the combine. He tested extremely well for a defensive lineman, and he does have some upside there in terms of if he can learn technique. And he talked about that last night when the reporters had him, that he is pretty raw still, in terms of technique and pass rush plan and diagnosing things and things like that. So maybe they feel like he just needs some seasoning, and then they can maybe get a little bit more out of him in terms of splash.
Yeah, he doesn't. I mean, and he seems like a sharp guy too. Other thing, I mean, he's not Trayvon Walker. Trayvon Walker was a freak with freak measurables, but like I see him similar like dreams of what Trayvon Walker would be in this defense. Of he would be like a B version of that potentially, like that kind of guy.
I think the biggest
who's
difference
long and
between
big and move him around.
Him
He's
and
not gonna run as
Trayvon
well.
Walker is Trayvon Walker was loose.
Yeah,
He was
36, like 36-inch arms.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a freak. He's
a flexible guy. The biggest thing about Keon White to me is that he's a linear athlete. He's stiff. Like he's a downhill player. He's not somebody that you want moving side to side. If you have him, you pin his ears back and run through the pocket, he can do that. But if you're asking him to dance out there or be Josh Uche and throw a bunch of different moves on a guy and go around him, that's just not really his game.
I thought last night when we talked about White, I thought we all sort of agreed that we thought he was a good player.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if we understood necessarily the need for the fit. And we talked a little bit about Dietrich Wise, and Fred had mentioned that he fell off a little bit. I think that's the kind of play, but I think he can play.
Yeah.
I think he's a good player. I think it's exactly where most of the prognosticators, not that they know, it's exactly where that they had them slated. I like the player. I'm just not sure how much they needed that.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, get to your phone calls and emails, and we'll also talk a little bit about what Bill had to say last night about Mac Jones.
This is the Gillette Labs with exfoliating bar. The bar and the handle removes unseen dirt and debris ahead of the blades for effortless shaving in one efficient stroke.
TouchView Interactive from the Yokers Company offers New England's leading schools and businesses technologically advanced and easy-to-use interactive displays, providing enhanced collaboration and improved student outcomes in the classroom, and an easy way to foster communication and teamwork in any business environment. Available in multiple sizes, TouchView also offers a built-in VC, allowing for easy use through video conference systems. For more information, visit okers.com.
This is the 2023 Patriots Unfiltered Draft Show, presented by Aristocrat Gaming.
All right, back here. Patriots Unfiltered, the draft extravaganza, will be here until 4 o'clock. At 3 o'clock, we have to shut off our cameras and go to just audio
I didn't
per
realize
NFL
the cameras
rules.
were on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Paul.
You wear your Sunday's best.
Yeah.
No, I didn't care about that. But this is the way I dress every day. But I didn't realize that they were on. I hope I didn't make any,
Nose pickings?
well, that.
Eye rolls.
No, more like obscene gestures.
Oh, okay.
Something I could get in trouble with.
Pristine analyst.
Nate writes in, so looking through the lens of look at what they do, not what they say, we are going to use a committee approach to receiver. I don't love it, but if we're dinking and dunking, we just need guys to catch the ball and find soft spots. We still want to have a run-first offense, even with Billy O being here, making interior line depth a little bit more important. BB wants to see if Matt can lift the talent around him like Brady did to see if he wants to move on. I don't think it's fair, but I think his philosophy is just throwing him in the deep end instead of teaching him to swim. Defense is going to be fine. It was fine last year. I love the secondary as is. They make plays, and Bill will make sure he causes chaos for opposing offenses. We got a guy similar to Judon, Keon White, getting in to get some new tools from Judon, which I like a lot. I don't know what that means.
Not like
I don't
Judon.
think there's a lot of similarities between
They
those
have
players.
a very pliable defense in terms of formation. I think they like to have a lot of options depending on what the other team shows. I think if we use the draft to fill holes, not give the team a higher Madden rating. That's just how Bill seems to draft. Not exciting, but in Bill we trust.
Okay.
I can't believe we're still doing that.
Can I ask
really
a question? And this is a legit question, and this is not Paul Snark. Why, if you're a running team, is the need for depth in the interior offensive line more important?
You got to make sure you can run the ball.
Got to have some guards that can pull.
Backup guard.
Right.
He said depth at interior offensive line. Why is
Because losing a starting guard is a
because
death
I got to
sentence
tell
for a
you,
team
if
that
I
wants
want
to
to
run.
drop back 45 or 50 times, I want to make sure I have depth at my offensive line just as much as if I want to run it 35 or 40
Yeah,
times.
I actually his point about receivers by committee, I don't necessarily see it that way. I personally think that they are really banking on a year 2 jump from Tyquan Thornton, and then also that they really feel like Juju Smith-Schuster is a significant upgrade over Jacoby Myers.
Again,
we all think
I
he's
have no
marginal.
doubt that they think that.
We all think it's marginal. I think that he's a better player, but marginally better. I think they might think that Juju is in a different tier than Jacoby
I think they got
Myers.
mad at Jacoby Myers last year, and I'm dead serious when I say that. I think they got mad and they got emotional. And that's it.
Possible.
I think it's as simple as that. They're talking themselves into this massive upgrade.
And Tyquan.
Now, the Thornton thing, I understand. Like, that's a second-round pick last year. He gets hurt in the preseason, gets off to a little bit of a slow start, never really found his footing. They probably feel like there's some growth there, and I can understand that.
Yeah.
To me, Juju Smith-Schuster is what he is at this stage of his NFL career.
It's fair.
Like, what he is what he is.
But the upside in that room is Tyquan, right? Like because you're not adding upside in the draft.
That's it.
So the
I
upside.
think
in
I
that
might
room
have
is
said it to you
Tyquan.
guys off air about that. Like, next year this time you're going to think a lot differently of Tyquan Thornton.
One way or the other.
It may be a lot better,
Right.
I know.
or it might be a lot worse.
When I was doing some stuff on Billy O, when they brought him back, the immediate thing that I thought about with Tyquan was, okay, he's not as good, but Jameson Williams at Alabama 2 years ago, they're built very, very similarly, and they both have ridiculous speed. And you're just watching the way that Bill O'Brien was able to get Jameson Williams off the line of scrimmage
Sure.
and get him away from contact and just allow him to outrun people all over the field. You got to think that they're both 6'1". They're both not exactly big guys in terms of their frames, and they both can fly. So even though I think Jamison Williams is a much better player than Tyquan Thornton, I think that you can at least have some overlap in roles and how they're used, and that did get me a little bit excited about how.
I don't think it's silly to be bullish on Tyquan Thornton.
No, but to be fair, I don't think we really saw much out of him last
Nope,
year to get you
didn't.
excited.
We didn't.
You know, maybe. In camp, there were a couple catches. Hey, he's pretty good actually. Tracking the ball and spacing and getting it over the shoulder. But that was kind of it. You never really saw the speed on display.
The Cleveland game was a good game for him, but he had a lot of drops. I just remember going over the middle in Minnesota and just dropping he hears footsteps.
Yeah.
You know.
And I mean, and it's worth wondering what's Billy O going to do with him. What's an experienced offensive coordinator going to say?
Well, that's sort of my.
Hopefully, he won't send him on shallow crosses so he can get the lights.
Well, send him in.
But that's sort of my point. Is that
wham block?
The system that he was in last year. There's no way, unless you were Justin Jefferson good, that you were probably going to succeed as a rookie wide receiver in that system. And now you're getting put in not only just a sophisticated, real NFL system, but you're also with a coach that's had players of your ilk before. I mean, some people have gone back to like Will Fuller with the Texans, right, and looked at how Bill O'Brien schemed him open. So maybe they can get some opportunities for Tyquan down the field. But the one time I remember that he did get open, he dropped the pass. It was I think it was against
down the field.
Cincinnati or Miami.
It was late in the season.
Yeah, late in the season. And I'm not going to say who it was, but I was in the locker room and I said, we're trying to get you loose, right, in the open field at Tyquan. And somebody on the Patriots said, well, we did, but he dropped the ball. And I was just like, yikes, like, man, even your own teammates saying stuff like that. So I think that there was a lot of pressure on him last year to break out, and he really wasn't put in an opportunity to be able to do that.
Vincent in Wilmington, North Carolina. We are watching Bill and the success of the Patriots wither away, one special teams player or guard at a time.
Don't ever change, Patriots. It's like those back-to-back emails say everything you need to know.
That's why I do it.
That's perfect.
In today's NFL, the goal should be to average 27 offensive points a game, which translates to a top 10 offense. The Patriots have the worst offense in the division. How can it not be a higher priority? The defense will cushion the embarrassment but won't win games. I no longer trust in the husk of Bill. Thank you, Tom Brady, for the Super Bowls. Wow.
Yeah, I don't think it was quite as positive as the previous one. I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as that one.
Right.
I respect it, though. Like, some people just have strong opinions and throw them out there. I think that's great. Yeah. And I'm serious.
Yeah, it's sports. That's what it's about.
It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to elicit emotion.
Right. And it's just sports. Let's go to the Ace Ticket hotline, 855-PATS-500. We'll start with Eldred, who says he's mad as hell. What's up, Eldred?
Oh, boy.
Give it to me, Eldred.
How y'all doing?
All right.
Hey, Evan, I agree with you 100%. That first pick, he teased the hell out of us.
Sure did.
The rest of those, back to Bill. I know y'all can't say it because y'all cover the team, but that dinosaur-speaking GM need to be out. I mean, out. I mean, if every other team in GM to add to their offense, even though they got good weapons, add some more, why can't he see it? This is not 1980, 1990. And then, like I said, if it had been for Brady, he'd been another Browns season. He'd been out in 3 years. And I mean that. This is ridiculous.
Okay.
It's a great point about
Eldred.
adding offensive talent even when you already have offensive talent, because a lot of teams did that over the last couple of days. Just his guy, Quentin Johnson, goes to a team that already has Mike Williams and Keenan Allen on the roster. Zay Flowers goes to Baltimore with
Josh
Odell
Palmer's still there too,
and Bateman.
The Chargers, isn't Josh Palmer still
Josh
there?
Palmer's still
he
there.
Was promising.
Jordan Addison with Justin Jefferson, paired with Justin Jefferson. I mentioned Charlie Jones gets drafted by the Bengals when they already have their plethora of talent at receivers. So all these other teams, they got receivers up the wazoo, and they're still taking receivers, even in a bad receiver draft.
That's a good point. Let's go to Willem and Phillum. What's up, William?
Fred, how you doing?
All right.
All right. Well, I'm trying not to cuss and be pissed off with this dude, I swear. Okay. Let me get it together, because it might sound like I was laughing, like to be like I'm joking out, but no, I'm really pissed off, seriously. So I'll just start with this. Dudes, I don't care about the linebackers. Paul, I don't care about what the Patriots did back in the past with guards and tackles. I don't care. Where's Mac Jones' weapons at, man? Like, where's that trade of Jerry Jeudy or Brandon Ayuk or something? Like, what is Bill doing? All defense and punters and guards? Are you kidding me? Seriously. Like, I'm ready to be an Eagle fan. Did you just see what they just did over here? They got all Georgia Bulldogs and turned around got DeAndre Swift. Seriously? And they still, and what, last year when they went and got, A.J. Brown, last year, the year before last, I'm sorry. Like, that's how you do it. Like, what is going on, man? You set match up the foul and have what? DeAndre, not DeAndre, I'm sorry. Juju, and that's it? And what, and Mike just second? I mean, when 3rd and 10 comes, fellas, who's going to make that play for us when we need that first down? Who's going to do it?
Yeah. Ramondre Stevenson.
I'll leave it at that, cuz. I'll leave it at that. Have a go.
All right. Thanks, William.
I'm glad he was working hard to try to keep it under control.
Yeah.
I feel like this is the same thing, though. I feel for the people that wanted the offensive weapons. I don't think it was a great, as Evan just said, wasn't a great receiver class. And then once you sort of let the better ones go early, you kind of get pigeonholed.
You missed Evan's run in the 20s. I mean,
right?
Outside of that.
And here's where, and I agree with everything Evan said, but I think I sort of interpret it a little bit different. I think it makes more sense for teams like Cincinnati in the Chargers and that have weapons to take a shot on someone else, because if it doesn't really work, it's nothing ventured, nothing lost. You still got Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, and you still got Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. If the Patriots put some stock into a receiver who's kind of iffy and it doesn't work, it's a bust. It's a disaster.
Thornton.
So
that's what's on Thornton right now.
Right, and it's one of those things. We talk a lot about the corners, not quarterbacks. So everybody's thrilled about Christian Gonzalez, and I am too. And I heard one person sort of play devil's advocate, intentionally trying to look at the other side of it today as I was driving in. And they were saying they've had so much success. I think it was Chris Gasper. They've had so much success with the Malcolm Butlers and the J.C. Jacksons of the world. And I would argue that if Christian Gonzalez plays like Malcolm Butler,
he's not good.
He's going to be perceived to be a borderline bust.
Yeah.
Bust is probably too strong because Butler was a good player. J.C. Jackson was a good player, but
up and down.
I think that those guys were elevated because they were undrafted free agents.
Right.
And when they played and they started and they made some plays, you were like, wow, Bill did it again. And he did, because Bill's had immense success with that position. Jonathan Jones, Randall Gay, like a lot of defensive backs, undrafted, that he's had success with. But I don't think success for an undrafted rookie is the same as a first-round draft pick.
No. This guy has to be in a Pro Bowl.
He's got to be a top,
same kind of stuff with the
corner
receivers.
in the league.
If they're not good enough, the Patriots needed a receiver to come in and really help Mac Jones. So if they're not good enough and they don't think that they can do that, maybe they were better off going another. That's just a completely different look. I'm not telling you I agree with that, but I'm trying to bring myself around. What are they thinking? What's their line of thought?
I think that they're thinking we want to surround him with veterans. We don't think that a rookie's going to come in here and work with Mac and make really much of a difference. So let's just have Bill O'Brien create a new offense for what we have. It's not a terrible group of receivers.
Is there a chance that we go out in training camp and as bad as it looked last year, we're like, whoa, this looks like
it's a low bar. It's a low bar
offense that seems to know what it's doing at least.
It has to.
But that's just the bare minimum.
Yeah.
And I think that to Wilman Phillum's point, it's 3rd and 8. Where's the ball going? And this whole idea of it could go anywhere that really that's not going to change the equation. That doesn't do it for me. Okay, who is the guy that come on Tuesdays when teams get into those game plan meetings and they see the Patriots offense up on the board and they say, we absolutely need to shut this guy down, or we need to devise our entire game plan around Tyreek Hill, around Stephon Diggs, around Garrett Wilson, and they don't have that guy on the roster now. They weren't going to get that guy in this draft, and I agree with that, unless maybe they went with one of those first round guys. But I think ultimately what you look at now with this draft is that there were guys that fit their prototype that were available at some of the instances where they picked. The sequence that's going to haunt
Were they
me.
necessarily better than the guys they have now? And I know 2024, a lot of these guys will be gone. But this year, were they necessarily better than the stable of pass catchers that they have now?
I don't know if they are going to be better, but I think that some of the guys that were available had the potential to be better, because you know what Kendrick Bourne is. You know that what he is in the league. But Josh Downs might be worse, he might be better, but he might be better, right? And that's the draft, and that's what we're looking at. The sequence that's going to kill me: Marty Mapu at 76, at 78 Josh Downs, or 78 Tucker Kraft, the tight end from South Dakota State, and at 79 Josh Downs. So right in that span of 4 picks, those two guys came off the board. And if either one of those guys, Kraft or Downs, ends up being an impact player in Green Bay or Indy, that's going to be where we're going to look back and say, what did we do here?
Yeah, I was going to say to your point, Evan, like, you know, with the ball can go anywhere. 3rd and 14 in Super Bowl 49, who'd it go to? Julian Edelman. You know, 4th down, 2015 AFC Championship. Who'd it go? Rob Gronkowski.
Well, that's my
Super
point.
Bowl.
For all Tom Brady's talk about who's your favorite receiver, the open guy.
When you had
to have it, you knew you generally knew it was going to Welker, it was going to Gronk, it was going to Edelman. Yeah, and I'm not telling you every single time, but you knew when.
I just listed
when
off.
the chips were down, you knew where the ball was going.
Super Bowl 53, Gronk. The biggest play of the game to get that final score. I mean, how many did Edelman have 3rd downs that you had to? I mean, those were the guys that made the key plays. It's not about, well, you never know where it's going to go. We might actually throw it to, receiver number 6 on this play. It doesn't happen. I mean, when the big moments, the big games, got to have it. You need the good players.
Let's go back to the phones. Mike's in North Carolina. Hi, Mike.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
Oh.
Great.
Super.
Love listening to you guys. Trying to talk myself off the ledge here after the Bruins collapse.
Oh God! Don't bring that up.
Disaster of a day 3, I feel like, for the Patriots. But I just want to talk about specifically about the asset management over the past couple of years with the guards and interior O-line. So we had Joe Thuney. We know that story. They franchised him, let him walk. Didn't want to pay him. Then we shipped off Shaq Mason last year, who, granted, it looked like he declined a little bit in Tampa last year, but still got rid of him. Had to spend a first-round pick on a guard last year, all strange. We also drafted Jason Hines, I think, as well, later in the draft.
6th round, yeah.
And then this year we've taken 3 more interior O-linemen. So I just don't know what we're doing here, really, to be honest.
Do any of you have any concerns about the guards they took last year, Strange and Hines?
I didn't give him much thought.
I mean, I don't know what to think of Hines. I mean, we didn't see him at all. He was never really on the field.
We already have concerns about Strange, then they're in trouble. Because if that pick doesn't pan out with where they took him and the position that they took,
and I'm not saying that they do. I'm just looking at it.
I thought the same thing, Paul.
So they had struggle in the interior offensive line last year. Like, Strange got benched 3 different times, right?
Yeah, people don't like to talk about that.
And everybody
really
complained.
Good.
Everybody complained going in, like, well, right now, I shouldn't say like then. Now there's a lot. Well, you had James Ferentz was your backup. He's 33 years old. I agree. You should have someone better than that, like a young guy that you're not paying, whatever. But think about the fact that the coaches knew that James Ferentz was the best option, and yet still 3 different times Cole Strange was taken out of the game. Healthy, Cole Strange was taken out. And they felt like they didn't have any depth in the interior. So what are they going to feel if they feel like now we have
might lose his job.
Antonio Maffei and City Sau.
Get in there.
City. Maybe they feel good about these picks. Maybe they're at a higher level than Chase and Hines, and they're more options. Then what happens? Like, my guess is it's more of an indictment on Chase and Hines, who, as you said, Mike, accurately didn't really see the field,
right?
Than it is Cole Strange. But to Evan's point, we better see Cole Strange as a fixture, not coming in and out of games periodically.
Well, and all the stuff that you thought, hey, we kind of have to hopefully rely on these guys. Andrews in the middle at center, Cole Strange at left guard, and Michael Onwenu at right guard. I mean, you don't have a lot that you can really say, let's hang our hat on. But, like, your hope is that you spent a first-round pick on this left guard. Your right guard is supposedly one of the most promising players on your roster, coming up for a contract, and your center is your captain and your leader. I mean, there's nobody left really of those guys on the offensive side of the ball. David Andrews kind of stands alone as far as that. So, you have to wonder what's going on there. Are those guys in danger? I mean, is David Andrews going to be in a competition, legitimate for his job? I can't rule it out right now.
Let's go to Butch in Marshall. What's up, Butch?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
Hey, Butch.
Where's Marshall?
Marshfield.
Oh, Marshfield.
Oh, my uncle was a Butch from Marshfield.
All right.
Yeah, I want to pause a minute and, I think if you give the draft maybe another month or two, depending on how they fill the holes in free agency, we know the comp pick period's about to end, and Bill loves to kind of, use another spark once that period ends. And there's still 2 decent tackles and some good running backs out there.
Who are the tackles that are decent that are
free agency?
What tackles?
We got Lewin and Donovan Smith, which I would argue.
Oh, you're talking about free agents?
Yep.
Oh,
there's no reason to bring either one of those guys in with Riley Reif and Calvin Anderson.
You have that.
Yeah.
I would argue they're a little bit better starting capability.
Yeah, maybe. So, how many of those guys are you going to have, though? Like, how many veteran free agent tackles are you going to sign? That would be 3?
I think they're better than Anderson and
okay, but they already
Riley.
signed those guys. I think you're right. I think Donovan Smith is better than Riley Reif. I agree with you. But they signed Riley Reif. So how many are you going to sign?
Yeah, you can only have so many on your roster.
I just find it. I'm not telling you it's impossible. There's plenty of veteran free agent signings that don't ever make the team. But but that's a fail.
Right. Well,
right?
Just bring up the roster. Right now I got them at 81 on the roster. They have 5 more picks. That takes them to 86. They could have 4 roster spots by the end of this, and that's
I'm not positive. I think you're one short based on what I've been reading. I thought it was.
I think some people include Devin McCourty in the counting because he hasn't officially retired.
Yeah, but Mike Reese wouldn't. Mike Reese wouldn't include that. But you might have it. So you have
either way.
Yeah, and I agree. Who was that? Butch. I agree with Butch.
Me too.
I would rather have Donovan Smith.
Not Lewan. Lewan
might be done. He might be like Riley Reif.
I
done.
like his podcast,
but at least he was at a higher level than Riley Reif when he was healthy. But I would rather have Donovan Smith. But it's hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that they're going to sign another tackle.
Oh, Mallory.
Yeah, and when we talked to Matt Groen in his pre-draft press conference, he put it out there that they really like their tackle room. He said that they have one guy returning in Trent Brown that they like. They have 2 new guys. They've spelt it out for us that they were high on their tackle room. And when we Alex and I did our final catch 22 and mock drafts and all that stuff, neither of us took tackles in the top 100 because of what Macro had to say. We took it at face value, and that's how the draft has gone. They ended up feeling better about their tackle depth somehow than their interior depth, clearly. Based off the way that they've run the draft.
And this is part of the reasoning. They feel better about their tackles. They told you that they like their tackles. This is my point about they think that they got a guy who can play linebacker at 217 pounds. I know.
Yeah.
I know. This is why I'm not arguing with the philosophy.
Yeah.
I wonder if Calvin Anderson can be a starting tackle in the NFL. They obviously think he can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't doubt that they think he can.
Right.
And I'm not trying to tell you I know more than they do. I don't know.
And you can't. The problem is that
That's
all 3 of those tackles, Reif, Anderson, and Trent Brown, I'm not even confident in Trent Brown.
I have
after last
almost
year.
no confidence in Trent Brown.
I'm not confident that in any one of those guys that you have a starter, right? That you're going to put him in camp on day 1 and you're not going to take him out until the end of the season. I don't know that about any of those guys.
The best thing I could say about Trent Brown was recently, within the past week or so, he was out doing an event for us with the Charitable Foundation, which I found to be and I'm not being sarcastic at all.
I felt the same.
I found that to be a very positive sign that he was here, he was on board.
Yeah, part of everything that goes
part of the
on
organization.
Here.
That stuff is important here.
Yep.
And I'm not trying to be corny. That stuff is important here. And the fact that he was part of that in the off season, I took as a positive sign.
It's all about mindset for Trent Brown.
Do you know what I mean,
He's got
Freddie?
the ability. It's just like,
Sometimes
what about the
he
want
looks
to?
like, I know,
Yeah.
it's like sometimes he's absolutely dominant, and I would say that's, I don't even want to say sometimes, like there's flashes of dominance, but it's just not consistent. And then you mix in the injuries, which I know last year he wasn't really injured, but
Well, he was sick,
he
I
just-
guess, a few games, and I think it affected him. He
I
didn't
remember
come
that,
out
yeah.
until he didn't even come out for warm-ups for a couple games,
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, but no, I'm serious. I mean, I just think with him,
That was my Willie
it's
McGinnis
not
thoughts
about
and prayers.
ability; it's about want to. You know.
Yeah. And it's also about Adrian Clem at this point with this group.
Could he help?
Because
Yeah.
we could put a lot on Bill O'Brien's plate to make the skill positions in the passing game better, I think. But I think they genuinely believe that Adrian Clem is going to also bring a level of unison, sophistication, communication to that group that mentally that group's going to be a lot more locked in than it was last year.
Let's go to Pat Nagawam. What's up, Pat?
I hope you're right, Evan, as far as Adrian Clem goes. Now, I'll throw a little bit of positivity mixed in with a little bit of negativity. So I do like the Ryland pick. I do like the Mafi pick, and I think I might be in the slight minority of fans that like the Keon White pick. But for the life of me, I mean, Evan, you're talking about Mapu and how, they've tried guys like that here. I can't remember the fifth rounder's name who came in injured a couple of years ago, but
Cam McGrone.
Wouldn't you have rather than seen them take a risk on a guy like Darnell Washington at that point? At least, that's a guy that you don't have on your team right now. You don't have a good inline blocking tight end.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with Mapu is what I mentioned it kind of earlier with Downs and Kraft. And I know you can't. It's hard to play this game because you don't know how the board's going to go. But at the same time, I can't help but think you probably could have had both. Like, I really feel like you probably could have had one of those players that went in that 5 to 10 pick range that all of us loved, like a Darnell Washington, like a Tucker Kraft or a Josh Downs, and then still gotten your guy in Mapu. I think they clearly really liked the kid. They came in. Bill talked about his 30 visit last night. I think he blew him away in the top 30 visit. His knowledge of the game and his knowledge of multiple roles in the defense. It made me think of that Devin McCourty story that he told at McCourty's retirement ceremony, that he knew the roles and the assignments of all three levels of the defense and how rare that was for a college player. I don't know if Mapu, interviewed like that, but that was sort of the impression that I got from Belichick, that he just loved the kid, as meeting with him and talking with him, which is fine. But would Mapu have been there at 107, or could a trade up have happened back into the third round to get Mapu by the end of the night last night, and then you still get one of those name brand players at 76?
I just think when you boil it down, Evan, you've kind of said it. I mean, and I'm just looking at the numbers now, where you're now sitting on 10 interior offensive linemen, and you don't really have a third tight end. You don't have a fifth wide receiver, and not to make too big of a deal of what a third, but those are positions that you take into game day that you might need, And
Can you name those? Can you do me a favor? And do you have the
name the 10?
No. Do you have the depth chart open in front of you
Yep.
right there?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Can you just name me this
Interior
is interior offensive line?
Yeah. So we have our three starters at top:
Strange, Andrews, and Wenyu.
and then behind them I've got Chasen Hines, Cody Rusi, and James Ferentz. Then we've got Bill Murray, Jake Andrews, Sidney Sal, Antonio Mafi.
10.
You
needed 10, right, Paul?
And how many are going to make the team?
Well,
of that?
and that
Four,
would just
five?
Yeah,
Five
and
tops?
listen, I preface this all the time by saying I don't know anything.
depth chart?
No. He just named them all. to me.
Our lads.
Our lads does a great job with the depth charts.
They do. They have good depth charts.
They're the best depth charts out there.
They do actually.
Yeah.
I'm being serious.
I
on
know.
that.
I know.
Oh, okay.
We all are.
I'm not sure how much better. Like, what were we talking about last year when it was, Chasen Hines and Andrew Stuber as young, late
we'll see.
day 3 backup offensive lineman.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll see.
That's what you do. That's great job. Suddenly this year they've taken 3 in a row, and it's like, what? You're surprised? I mean, David Andrews is 31. No, I'm not surprised they took backup off. This is what they do. This is what you're supposed to do. But 3 and 4 picks.
Well, it just
After a
it
first
might be an
rounder
indictment on the draft,
last
their
year.
opinion of the draft.
That's just the way it went, Paul.
But it's just
There was that's just the way we went, and there was just nobody else. That they
Snark
liked
alert.
there.
But I think we all
I like
like
it. I like it.
at a certain point, do you worry that we're probably gonna have to cut this guy? That's because you're overdrafting a position.
You just named 10
Like,
guys.
10 guys.
10
now,
guys. I can't wait for the backup
okay,
offensive
and
lineman
Somebody's gonna
competition
get
in
cut.
training
It's probably
camp.
the guys they got
well,
last
and Bill
year.
Murray. I mean, I'll put him in
Right.
a separate category. Obviously, they just love this kid because he's willing to do whatever they want. But he's not. I don't think a candidate really to step into any kind of a meaningful role at this stage. He's been on the practice squad 3-4 years
as a defensive lineman and
offensive lineman.
Right. And
so the rest of them,
and Rousey's a little undersized, and you know
Yeah.
probably not. I mean, I mean,
Mafi
I think
to me
he's got
seems
some
like the
fans.
one guy on this list. I'm just reading draft profiles here.
Yeah.
I don't pretend to know all these guys. Mafi seems to me to be the most talented guy.
Mafi's my
of these
favorite
three
pick
guys.
out of the three guys. City Sal's got a lot of talent, but I think the things that I saw with him were that he doesn't really react to moving parts very well after the snap. So like he had a difficult time picking up like stunts and twists and
he's
blitzes
a little bit slow
up front. And then the other thing with him was he's more of that like ball of clay type of guy, but I like Mafi a ton.
All right, we have to take a break. We're going to audio for our last hour per NFL rules. So we will take a break right now. When we come back, you'll just hear us, but that's fine. And we'll take more of your calls and emails and update you on any new picks coming up.
Verizon, the network America relies on, and the official 5G network of the New England Patriots.
Patriot Place is the region's #1 shopping, dining, and entertainment destination. Shop your favorites, including Vineyard Vines, Express, Bass Pro Shops, Petco, and more. Enjoy dining at one of our 19 restaurants, including Six String Grill and Stage, Scorpion Bar, and Bar Louie. And don't forget about the entertainment.